this for anybody else.
No, it'll be,
6B.
6B.
You moved 6A and 6B.
You
Move
have to have
both.
6A and
oh, that's
6B.
right, okay, we said to 6B, that is correct.
Yes.
Okay, I will now entertain a motion for bill number 2025-37. In order,
Wait,
Yeah.
Don't we need to be
Okay.
5B?
no, we
6B.
no, we need
we
a
skipped all- we skipped all
need a
five.
motion.
We're coming back to 5.
Okay.
So we moved up 6A, then executive, then 6B. is what
Yes.
Yes, we're on 6B.
Okay.
I am
so-
entertaining a motion
First reading.
for the 20.
We're on speed round. Let's go.
2025-37.
Yeah, we got a first and a second.
You got a
Okay,
first and
well,
a
we
second.
okay, discussion.
Nope,
First
we need to
reading.
do.
No. Okay, first reading,
Yes, sir.
counselor.
Yes, sir.
Counselor.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Bill number 2025-37, ordinance number 4059, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 305 North Main Avenue and 210 East Locust Street in Bolivar, Missouri.
Second reading.
Okay, discussion,
Second reading.
discussion.
Second.
Second and a second.
Now we have a
Second reading.
discussion from the chairman of the planning and zoning.
This zoning change is recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay,
Their information available upon request.
okay, okay.
It changes the, it's 2 lots owned by First Baptist. that they want-
Okay, everybody.
Oh, sorry. It's 2 lots owned by First Baptist, and they want to change it to C3 so they can build up to the setback goes away and they can build up to the edges. It's this one, the lot that has the water tower on it, behind that rec building, so on the, what is that, Missouri side of the street, Missouri and Olive, they want to be able to build that way right up to the sidewalk. And then the other one is where the White House used to be.
Yeah.
I think they want to be able to build a little closer to the sidewalks if they put a pavilion in there. Is that right, Justin?
Okay.
So it's just
Okay.
dealing with the setbacks.
Questions or comments? Okay. I'm entertaining a motion for a second.
Second reading.
Second.
Okay, counselor.
Thank you. This is bill number 2025-37, ordinance number 4059, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for certain real estate generally located at 305 North Main Avenue and 210 East Locust Street in Bolivar, Missouri.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Neal,
Aye.
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 Wilson,
Aye.
Sagasser,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Ballard,
Aye.
With a vote of 6 ayes and 0 noes, bill number 2025-37 has passed. Now on to
5A.
5A.
5A,
Right.
430th Road expansion. Mr. Civils?
Civils.
Civils.
For the perfect engineering name.
Oh, absolutely.
Very rarely people get it right, though.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Are you a civil engineer?
Yep.
I mean, you're very, very polite and kind. Very.
I don't know about that. Depends on the day. An hour.
You said you were civil.
So. Kyle, do you want to start off, or do you want me to start off?
Yeah, if you want to talk about the scope of it, comments, however you want to address it.
All right, I can give you guys a background a little bit. Everybody's heard about 430th Road. Everybody's been to the hospital, obviously. So we applied for a grant 3 or 4 years ago. Just give a little quick backstory. The grant at the time was up to 100% funding. So everybody would love to have a little bit smoother road going from basically precision out there, Highway 13, to the hospital, smooth out the S-curves, especially if it's 100% funding. We applied for 100% funding to do everything. It came back at, they said, well, we won't give you 100%, but we'll give you 50%. So then we said, okay, what can we build for 50% of the funding? And they said, no, we're going to do 50% match. So whatever dollar you put in, we'll put in $1. Got together with the county, and the county said, well, we need to see how our budgets shake out because the majority of this road is in the county. We need to see how our budget shakes out and see where we're at. But fast forward, the county says we've got approximately, I'm going off memory here, might be in one of these notes, 580,000, 560,000, just a little bit over $500,000. Shannon keeps asking where I keep coming up with the 60,000. So every time I meet with him, I can raise it 10 grand. So we'll call it 570 tonight. But a little over $500,000 they've got to spend. Whenever you look at their portion of the road, if you widen it to a constant width, it does a little bit of this action going down through there. If we widen it out a little bit and we smooth it out, we do a repave, we're going to have about $1 million in it. So about $500,000 from them, $500,000 from MoDOT covers the project. In past talks with the prior mayor and the prior, well, not prior staff, but the staff, there was talks, well, does the city want to partake in it? That was the question that was asked. The hospital has looked and they're like, hey, we're spending however many $100 million out there. We'd love to have a new road, but we really don't have excess to spend either. We can donate the land though. So we went to MoDOT and we said, hey, they'll donate the land to smooth out those S-curves. Could we value that land and then count that towards our match? Because on some programs you can't. And they said, no, not on this program. We're not going to allow that. So we went back to the drawing board and we said, well, what can we come up with? So the city looked and said, well, we have not presented this to the board, but we might be able to pitch in a little bit. Give us some options. And so where we're at today is we have an option to kind of repave, do some improvements from not up by Maze, I should say, kind of down where the road starts to narrow down and everything. Do some improvements. It's still going to have really tight curves, but they're going to be wider a little bit. It's going to be a little bit wider road all the way down through Skopex Farm, all that stuff, till it meets the county. Repave it all. Nice, new-looking road. It would be about $500,000 total, so about $250,000 from you, $250,000 from MoDOT. If we want to smooth out the S-curves, CMH has indicated that they can get approval to donate the land, but unfortunately won't count for any credit with MoDOT. But we're looking at roughly about another $500,000 there to do that. So that would raise your portion to $500,000 if you wanted to smooth out the curves. So our options on the table are, there's always option to do nothing. Do nothing as the county works on their part and hopefully brings their part to improve it so it's a better road for us to take to the hospital if we're out there on 13. Option 2 is that the city puts in roughly $250,000, does some facelifts to their side. We do a facelift to their side while we're doing a facelift to the county side, make it better for everybody. Option 3 is the county pitches in $500,000, the city pitches in $500,000, and we work on the S-curves. It will still come up to the stoplight, or I'm sorry, it'll still come up to May Station due to sight distance. We had looked at coming around the other side of the clinics and everything, but the sight distance is very poor there. We would run a risk of a lot of accidents there, so we still want to bring it up right there beside Mays at the current primary location. We just want to try to make it so if you were in an ambulance or an emergency situation, you don't have to slow down as much, is the goal. How you guys choose to use the money is 100% up to you. I told Mr. Calhoun that, and I've told the city that. I'm just here to kind of present, not really advocate for one way or the other. There's some money on the table. How do we want to spend that money? The city, you're well aware of all the needs that you guys have. You're also well aware of how important the hospital is to this city. And so it's kind of just here to answer questions on that and kind of predict what we can. So you guys are aware, we did ask for kind of a Cadillac, which was within the realm of the project. And so what we asked for was to really smooth it out, go ahead and replace the box culverts along the way, any pipe culverts, really do a bang up, great job on the whole thing. And I think it was around $3 million at the time, $2.5 million, $3 million. MoDOT, whenever they said, hey, we're only going to give you part of the money or a partial, we went to them, we said, hey, do we have to build the whole thing? And they said, no, come up with your money that you can come up with and then present that to us and we'll see if that's okay. So whatever you guys decide, 0, 250, 500, even if you said 10 million, I would then need to go to MoDOT and say, hey, here's what our money looks like. Is this acceptable? Gotcha. And so that would be the next step. So it still is not a guarantee. The secondary part of this I want to talk about real quick is that the funding is not guaranteed. As you know, Mayor, the funding is subject to the state. The state can approve funding or not approve funding. It's in the budget. It's a governor's cost share. Every year they can reallocate that. They have indicated that that's going to continue to go. That could subject to change. But we do have a little bit of time to that. So we could drag our feet and try to put this into a later fiscal year. If we went wild after design on the lower budget one, we could build this thing next year. We could probably push it to build the S-curves next year as well, or we could drag our feet to 2027 if we wanted to, if we absolutely had to, as far as that goes. So there's a little bit of flexibility, but there's a little bit of risk there because they may not reallocate the money.
Sure.
That's always your risk. You have the same risk on the East Loop on some of the money there. It may be allocated or not allocated. It's up to the discretion of our elected officials, which always do everything perfect, right, in Jeff City?
We always did. I don't know why why it should be any different now.
But
Also, the deputy chief of staff was a former lobbyist for the American Hospital Association, and so there is a lot of influence in the governor's office to be helpful.
yes.
So, just an aside.
And so this was approved. They are in the 2026 budget. I anticipate they'll be in the 2027 budget. But again, it just comes down to do you, as a city, want to participate? And then to what level are you comfortable participating?
I just want to make a quick statement, really. I hear a lot about, it's easier on the ambulance, it's going to be better for the ambulance. From my career on an ambulance, 48-hour shift. I drive on roads far worse than any blacktop known. We go out of the county, grass, we do everything on an ambulance. I'm kind of frustrated, and just me, and I'm very thankful for CMH, but it's not going to diminish any patient care performing because of an S-curve. Just my personal opinion that does the job. Tonight we had to spend $500,000 for our insurance. I don't know if we have the money right now. That's my personal opinion.
I need to jump
Go
in
ahead.
for
Go
that.
ahead.
I think it's
No way.
yeah, just real quickly, because this is what was included in your packet. So pursuant to the numbers that Jason had already mentioned, the staff was asked to, present, these scenarios, and we came up with those discussions also with the possibility of that first section that was talking about some widening and flattening. That section is also within the Bolivar Special Road District, and so if you have your page there for the future infrastructure project, I have that broken down in a chart, and it would be potential that we could on that $250,000 go and pursue even a 50-50 partnership with the Bolivar Special Road District. We haven't talked to them yet. The intent was to come here, see if that was even anything the board wanted us to have discussions with them. Those discussions are a little bit easier, in the formality side. So that is one option. So you see that in scenario one is we actually take that 250 and turn it into 125 each with them if they were agreeable to that type of scenario. Or as Jason already mentioned, we could, bear the burden of the full 250 for that. Then essentially you take that same concept of sharing the first half and adding in the straightening, and you have a $375,000 number, or you get to that $500,000 number. So there's just one kind of nuance in there with the possibility of sharing some costs with the Bolivar Special Road District. Obviously, as Jason already mentioned, or doing nothing. But the staff was asked to present where would this money come from if we were to do something like this. So there at the bottom you see some potential or recommended options. There would be to move some funds out of street reserves and out of indirect funds into a CD, not to reallocate those funds for the project, but to set them into an interest-bearing account to utilize the interest from those funds. So that if that were to happen, that could happen in 2025. And we looked at numbers of $750,000 out of street reserve and $500 out of indirect funds. It's about, that would be 1.25 million into a CD. And then additionally, consideration could be given for 50,000 out of the street budget in 2025, 2026, and 2027. If you take those 3 years, and then we're looking at that, as Jason mentioned, the potential of a 2027 year funding the project, you would then have $150,000 from your annual grab from the street budget, 50 a year, and then you'd have roughly another $150,000 from that CD interest. That would take you, to that mark, and then you would pull what you need at that point. You would still need to pull some additional funds, and the recommendation at this point would be in 2027 you'd look at either pulling that from the general if the budget can bear it, or from indirect funds. That is just kind of getting you right close to the 375. And, all that doesn't math exactly perfect, but you're estimating interest and things like that. So we're just trying to show where these funds could potentially come from if the city wanted to bear all of the cost and get to that $500,000. You just have to keep contemplating where that additional funds would come from, whether it's indirect or or some other source in general.
Didn't we count this perhaps over a couple of years to budget it out, Mr. Relford?
Yeah, nothing would be paid out until 2027, so we have 2 years to kind of play with this to get the money we need.
And that's what's set in the chart there at the bottom. It's
Yes.
it's set over
He's got
a
it laid out
3 year.
which goes
Yeah,
which
okay.
year.
All right.
Yeah, so it'd be doing some movement in 2025, but then additional movement in 26, and then pulling all of that together and the interest in 2027.
What's the impact on the street budget of knocking out 50,000 out of their budget 3 years running?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm working hard to make the street budget operational, and so meaning that there's no money pulled from reserves, though the street budget does have a considerable reserve right now. That's it's probably appropriate to we have a reserve plan, and so it's appropriate to bring it down somewhat into that reserve plan. The $50,000 number is not it's not so insurmountable. We have some other techniques that we plan to introduce and have further discussion about our overlay funds and some other ways in which we can
Wonder about
address streets and things like that would give us the same level of covered linear feet, covered square miles, that kind of thing, but at a lower cost. And so I think we can absorb that. I mean, that's discussion Thomas and I had when we're doing this. I think I can still bring by 2027 that budget to an operational, and what I mean by that is revenue expenses, even no pull from reserves. With that $50,000, it's possible.
If we could get a partnership with the road district, could we not do this over a couple of years? I
No,
mean,
you still
wouldn't it?
could.
Couldn't
It's speculated over
that-
the couple
that-
of years with
what-
that partnership.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little speculative.
Yeah, if
right
they
now.
were, if the road district would take consideration towards the 125,000, we could put to them to set those funds, in 2025, 26, 27, so they
Right.
could spread just even their portion out, or they potentially would have the funds they could maybe put it towards the CD, or we could do.
Okay.
I'd want to leave that to them to discuss how they want to fund it if they're interested in funding that at all.
Am I right that they cannot fund the entire whatever it is because part of it is out of their district?
It would actually be more the limit. So we bump against a limit. They're limited to 25% of their collection. The only reason they could probably get to that 125,000 is because of spreading it out over multiple years.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
It does.
They're just what they can spend inside
Yeah.
city limits is limited by the state statute. So.
Would we need to get that kind of a commitment before we made a final decision?
I mean, whatever the board wants to say, we'll begin that conversation. I think it probably would benefit, if the board's posture is, no, we don't want to do it no matter what, then there'd be no reason to have that conversation.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
the board's posture is, we only want to do it if the special road district will do the 125, then that's probably important for us to know in having those conversations. And if it's, we'll have another, like, let's try to have that conversation, and then we'll see what the board would want to do.
Right.
Those are all, to me, 3 different possible, decisions
we've
tonight.
we've had this discussion, and you kind of know my personal feelings about it.
Sure.
Is that that the CMH is unique in the country, and it's a treasure that we have that nobody else has, and I think that the city should have an active partnership in whatever form with the hospital because of what we have that nobody else has. But that'll be up to the board. I would certainly like to see. I would like to see us complete the project. Certainly like to have the help of the road district, but I don't have a vote.
Go ahead, sorry.
I might be
No, go
jumping in.
ahead.
I was going to suggest that we start the ball rolling on scenario 1 and see what happens. That was going to be my suggestion. It's the lowest dollar investment. I don't like the idea of us telling CMH, no, go away, you get nothing.
No.
But I am maybe not as aware of the value that this project brings to CMH as maybe CMH is. So that's why if we can get our dollar value, our dollar contribution down as low as possible, and see if Special Roads is willing to contribute towards the scenario 1, that would probably be where I'm at right now. But if somebody wants to make a case for a different scenario, I'm certainly open to it.
So what kind of vote? What kind of a vote would we need tonight in
we
order
need a
to move ahead with that
need
idea?
anything?
From where I'm at, I would say no vote. I would
Yeah.
say I would just ask for a clear direction or a somewhat consensus without an official resolution by any means, but saying, hey, we would like for you to meet with the Bolivar Special Road District, and we would like for you to explore if MoDOT would approve
Yeah.
both. Then we can get an approval from MoDOT, we can get word back from the Bolivar Special Road District, and we can come back and then you can make an official decision.
Yes, I would appreciate that. That sounds great.
Is that the consensus of the board then? That wouldn't require a vote or a motion?
Yeah, sounds good.
Explore.
Move ahead
Still a
then,
no.
sir.
Still a no.
Thank you, Kyle, for putting it together.
Okay.
Thanks for hanging around.
5 hours.
That's all right.
We probably should have bumped you up to the front.
Okay.
There, Jason.
5B.
Okay. 5B. Okay.
All right.
Midnight.
CDBG grant application.
So if you recall, I sent out an email to the aldermen just to give them a heads up on this. We talked a lot about this grant. This is the one we did the survey to qualify for it, but after talking to the people that administer this
Yeah.
grant process,
We're not going to get.
we're not good candidates for this. You have to have a dire financial need. We would never qualify or get accepted. So
We'll give our
I'm just
insurance
letting-
rates another couple years, and we might, yeah.
Right.
So I'm just letting the board officially know that right now we're standing down on any application.
Check.
Okay. On to item 5C, Public Safety Center Air Conditioning Emergency Purchase. Who is here
Me,
to
I can do
discuss
this one
that?
too.
Okay.
So if you recall, I called all the aldermen, got permission to move forward. The air conditioner in the front half of the PSC went out, and obviously this time of year we have to have air conditioning. I got emergency authority. We're just formalizing that approval process.
Do you need a motion or not because we did it over the phone?
Don?
On the,
Proposed talk approval of.
Oh, yes.
Of,
Okay.
I would want a motion, so we
Okay.
have
I
it in the
move we
minutes.
I'm entertaining a motion to.
Second.
Okay. And that would require just a voice vote, Counselor?
Yes, sir.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and opposed? No. The ayes have it. The air conditioner at the Public Safety Center is now being fixed.
It's fixed now. It's done.
Okay, all right. We're way behind here. Okay. I'm entertaining a motion for bill number 2025-33.
First reading.
Second.
All right. Discussion.
We got to read it first.
Oh, okay, excuse me. First
Yes.
reading, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Bill number 2025-33, ordinance number 4055, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Emery Sapp and Sons Incorporated for contractor services for an Albany Avenue pedestrian and stormwater improvement project.
Okay, discussion, Mr. Lee.
This is just codifying the project that we've talked about for a long time. We have grant funds associated with it. It begins on July 7th.
Okay.
We
To cut off the entrance where it is and move it
yeah,
up
to modify the entrance.
Okay, all right.
Second reading?
Second.
This is Bill number 2025-33, ordinance number 4055, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Emery Sapp and Sons Incorporated for contractor services for an Albany Avenue pedestrian and stormwater improvement project.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Price.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Sagaster.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, as a vote of seven ayes and 0 noes, we have passed Bill number 25-33. I entertain a motion for Bill number 2025-34.
Second.
Counselor. Order.
Mayor, this is Bill number 2025-34, ordinance number 4056, an ordinance authorizing a contract with APAC Central Incorporated for contractor services relating to the city's 2025 road resurfacing project.
Discussion or explanation? Mr. Lee?
Yep, just our road overlay project with APAC and
Which we already
approval of the contract. We,
Okay, all
we
right.
selected them. This is ordinance approving the contract.
Second reading. Second.
Second.
This is,
Second reading, Counselor.
yes, sir. This is
Order.
Bill number 2025-34, ordinance number 4056, an ordinance authorizing a contract with APAC Central Incorporated for contractor services relating to the city's 2025 road resurfacing project.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Wilson.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Sagaster.
Aye.
Ross.
Okay, with a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, Bill number 2025-34 has been passed. I entertain a motion for the reading of first reading of Bill number 2025-35.
First reading.
Reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-35, ordinance number 4057, an ordinance authorizing a financial assistance agreement with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources and the U.S. Department of Energy for a grant to assist with solar energy panels at the city's recreation and aquatic center.
Explanation, please.
Yes, we've talked about this in the past somewhat, but it is exciting that we have gone out to bid now. The funds have been noticed for, we have a $500,000 grant that we received, and we are having bids offered to supply a system at the rec center that has the projection of saving us anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 a year in utility costs, so it's quite significant. There will be some cost to the city, depending that we'll know that more when we get the bids back based on the kilowatt hours that are required for the system. So.
Okay, do we think that we can, it can be built for what we're getting? Or will,
there will be some additional costs that we projected that the additional cost to the city could be around $200,000, of which we can also receive 30% rebate on, so reduces us down at 150 or so, depends. But we have to wait to see the bids when
Yes.
we'll know that.
Okay.
We don't get the rebate on the
So
total price.
discussion?
I'm gonna try.
That's
actually.
Okay.
Okay.
Second reading.
We have.
This is Bill.
Counselor?
Yes, sir. This is Bill number 2025-35, ordinance number 4057, an ordinance authorizing a financial assistance agreement with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources and the U.S. Department of Energy for a grant to assist with solar energy panels at the city's recreation and aquatic center.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sagaster.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
With a vote of 7 ayes and 0 noes, Bill number 2025-35 has passed. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-36.
Second.
Discussion, please. Oh, no, first reading, please, Counselor.
This is Bill number 2025-36, ordinance number 4058, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with AARP for a grant to the city for the purpose of local community improvement.
Mr. Lee.
This is another exciting grant we got. It's the value is at $15,000, and we are utilizing that. The grant was put out to utilize that to install a shade structure out at the inclusive playground. So we'll be excited to do that. And this is through AARP, so we have a connection there, with the senior center and all of that, serving the whole community. We haven't been able to announce this one. They had some restrictions on when you could announce it, but we
wanted to announce it themselves.
Mhm,
didn't they?
sure, yeah, exactly. And there will be some signage indicating that AARP was part of the
Yeah.
funding source.
Announcing it now.
We are announcing it
Okay.
now. Yes, I'm
Okay.
saying
Okay.
in the past we
Okay, I
hadn't
was
we hadn't
like-
spoken as frequently about this one because we had that timing restriction. But yeah, we're excited to receive those funds, and that bid is also out for
Okay.
the shade structure.
Questions and comments? Seeing none. Counselor, let's see.
Second
Second
reading.
reading. Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-36, ordinance number 4058, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with AARP for a grant to the city for the purpose of local community improvement.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Russ,
Aye.
Sagaster,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Ballard,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Rains,
Aye.
Wilson.
By a vote of 7 ayes, 0 noes, Bill number 2025-36 has been approved. We are down to 6C. Is that not right?
Nope, that's right.
Resolution for TAP grant. Mr. Lee.
Yes. So this is one I'll try to explain succinctly so it's clear to everyone. You do have a diagram there in your packet, as well as two resolutions are in front of you, and I'll explain the reason for that. We have received TAP grant funding for a sidewalk network along a portion of the corridor from Springfield Avenue, along Springfield Avenue, from Aldrich to Mount Gilead. What we've already received approval and funding for is design for that entire section. We've considered it in our applications into 3 phases. So the first 2 phases are funded for both design and construction, and phase 3 is funded for design. So this year we had intended to put forward an application for construction of phase 3. In conjunction with that, though, we desired to add to or be in part of that application a crosswalk there at the light that's existing at the Walmart exit. Obviously, this sidewalk is on the east side of Springfield Avenue, and one of the most significant retail locations in the community is on the west side of Springfield Avenue, and so a crosswalk was something we felt was a necessary element to consider. And so what we're putting before, what that does, though, there is maximum amounts for the TAP grant. That those amounts are $600,000. So the maximum we can receive through that program is $600,000. We think we have a strong application whether we went forward without the crosswalk, but we think that the staff felt we needed to make you aware that this probably is the best chance to receive funds to offset the costs of the crosswalk as well. And so you have 2 resolutions. You could move forward to only, you could do nothing. We could not submit our application, but I would not recommend that. I think we've had, maximizing our dollars here. But the one resolution would be only for the sidewalk on the east side, and that would, the city's match would be roughly $100,000 if you went forward with that resolution. Or I would recommend, ultimately, I think the crosswalk is an important element, but I'll leave that to the board to discuss and decide ultimately. But the other resolution,
that is phase 3.
phase 3, and in our application we are referring to those phase 3, phase 4 with the crosswalk. But for tonight, the most important thing probably to recognize is that resolution if we did the resolution for both the sidewalk and the crosswalk, the cost to the city, instead of being $100,000, would be roughly $280,000. It's $279,350. That's estimates, obviously, but the cost would be an increase of roughly $180,000 to the city to do that. The reason that even after consideration, I think that's still something you should consider is because the cost to that's going to be unfortunately, there's a light there already, but most of the infrastructure of that light will have to be replaced as part of that. That's why the cost is so high. It's not just a matter of add a few push buttons, paint the surface. It's a reworking. It also delivers the pedestrian from the crosswalk into the actual parking lot area. So you have to do some additional construction. There's some stormwater issues on that side, and so that's why the cost for just the intersection part is roughly, just the crosswalk and intersection part is roughly 300 or so thousand. So for us to get it, here in this case, we're getting it for about 180,000 if we were to choose to do it some other time, not funded with a grant. Or the other option, to be clear, is we could not do it and then put forward just a grant for that alone in the future, and then our match would be 20% of that portion. But
So
I'm not trying to be overly complicated.
You're giving us a choice of 3 things tonight?
Well, I guess it's really only 2. There's 2 resolutions. You need one or the other. If we did the resolution that was only the sidewalk, we could submit a grant in the future for only the crosswalk. The issue with that is I generally prefer our posture to be to submit a grant for the maximum. There's a lot of work involved in the grants and all of that, and the dollar figure, you might as well go for the maximum, and we wouldn't be able to max that out in that location.
Okay.
With just
Does
the
that match
crosswalk.
up with line C, the 6C on the new business
Agenda? Yes, this is the tap. This is the resolution for TAP grant.
So for the TAP, this agenda item on the agenda will be the full funding they're talking about.
The board needs to make a decision to
Which
either.
resolution
There's
you wanna
2
pass?
resolutions.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
One,
2
two.
resolutions
Which
in the
one we wanna
packet,
pass?
and the board just needs to whatever discussion
Okay,
and
I just
ultimate
didn't see the
decision,
other resolution here.
or if you did neither.
I think if we're going to go and have this nice sidewalk, I think we become a liability if we don't provide the crosswalk.
Well, here's another thing with the crosswalk. We have a lot of citizens that do not have vehicles and they walk a lot to Walmart. And so kind of like with the safety thing, I think this provides a safer place, and it gives the people that cannot drive to Walmart a place to safely walk.
I agree.
Two quick questions. I basically agree. My first question is this crosswalk is essentially practically just to get people to Walmart. Like, there's no sidewalk connectivity on that side of the street. If you cross the crosswalk, you're in a Walmart parking lot.
Oh, correct. Yes, you mean the crosswalk?
Yeah.
The crosswalk. The crosswalk is serving the light that serves Walmart.
Right.
You could conceivably navigate the parking lot
No, I
and reach other
understand.
retail places.
But like,
yes,
I'm
it's
just so that was part of my granted Walmart is a major destination, so like I'm not saying that decides it, but I think realizing that we are essentially talking about a crosswalk that leads to primarily one entity, would that entity be interested in helping to fund having a high quality crosswalk that's hooked up to this brand new fancy?
I'd be
multi-use
happy
path?
to approach them. That has been difficult in the past, but I think that's a perfectly good thing that we could approach. I think we have to make a commitment tonight
Yeah, no, I
because of the
disagree.
TAP grant funding, but I think it's a good one. The other point of like, why would it be there is, these are things we've discussed
Right.
with MoDOT. So I don't think
Yeah.
that was your point
No, it
primarily,
was that they
but-
are a huge stakeholder in this, and they will benefit. They are the ones who, the people
Correct.
benefit, but they are the person who
certainly,
benefits the most.
yeah, we'll be
from it.
making improvements on their property.
And
as
I would
well,
say
yeah.
to Ashley's point, the reason we're wanting to have this sidewalk is to increase pedestrian access. If we then have the pedestrian access just on one side of the street and say, yeah, you can look across the street at all these places that you cannot legally visit without jaywalking, that is less helpful to pedestrian connectivity. So as much as I'm loath to spend more money, I think we sign up for the crosswalk and then we see if we can get Walmart to help bring that total down. Or if there's other businesses that are along there that want to help kick in, there's,
I would second that
Yeah.
motion.
that'd be mine.
So that's the consensus? Now, don't we need a vote on that?
Yes.
So I guess I'm voting for
I
the
think-
first draft of the resolution, not the second draft. Of
Okay,
Yes.
so
Wait.
how are
We're
you
not doing
how are
sidewalk?
you presenting the motion then?
I move that we adopt the resolution that calls for us to pay for the the sidewalk and the crosswalk.
Second.
Okay, a second? All right, a voice vote is appropriate. All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? No. The ayes have it. We have, you know what we did. Okay. Okay. All right. On D, there appears to be a conflict between our regular schedule and the scheduled Liberty PSC meeting. And there you go. And we need to decide a different date, perhaps, unless we want to meet here while PSC is meeting over at, and I don't imagine
no,
any
I
of us
wanna
want
go
to
to
do
that
that.
What? And that's on the what date? The
22nd.
What about the 21st? That Monday.
I would love that because I will have more childcare issues if we move it too much later in the month. So the 21st, I think.
So what
Double
date
check are
are we
that.
looking at?
21st.
21st, Monday the 21st. So the normal one, the work session, which hopefully we will have, is I'll be on the 8th, and then the regular session will be on the 21st on the Monday.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Works for me.
I'll try to make it work.
So that's a discussion. Okay, where are we here? All right.
Is that
Then by voice vote, who wishes to make? How do you
I'd
want
make
that?
a motion. We'd move it to the 21st,
Second.
Okay.
July 21st, 2025.
All in favor?
aye?
The ayes have it. We have changed the regular session for
6:30.
July on
Same time.
6:30 on the 21st
Same time.
Yes.
of
Start time, not
July.
6:30, like June 30th. but
Okay,
start
and
at
we've
6:30.
already done Liberty Utilities.
No, we need.
Oh, we-
I make a motion to table that that agenda item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We've had far more alderman comments than we need to work with. Okay.
Well, I've got.
Wait,
one.
Agenda.
it's
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Okay,
If
all
people
right.
want to
So-
talk,
so-
let them talk.
So I've got one, and it'll be quick. You know, we canceled our work session meeting because there wasn't enough, items on the agenda. But then tonight we're here till 11 o'clock with some of those items that we could have handled during the work session. So maybe in the future, even if there's one or two or three items, let's go ahead and have a short meeting so we don't have one really long meeting in the future. That's my thoughts behind that.
We'll take that into serious consideration.
My only thing I had a couple constituents reach out about. I know Todd's not here, but if you relay the message, in the past they were having a lot of issues with swim lessons.
With what?
With the
Swim
swimming
lessons.
lessons.
Yeah.
I had multiple parents reach out to me saying this is the best they've ever had it. They've been really dedicated on teaching the kids and being involved.
Speak into your mic.
And also with Chase and Devon's, with the baseball fields, with all the rain we had, a lot of the parents came over and said that it's been noticed they've been putting the extra work in. So if you will relay those messages of good and thank you and attaboys.
Okay.
Thank you. That's good to hear because we've really been working hard with communication with the community.
Okay.
And it's being well noticed.
Further comments? Let's go on. Who wishes to read the calendar of events?
Justin does.
Calendar events, July 8th, 2025 work session, July 21st, regular session. July 22nd, Public Service Commission public hearing regarding Liberty Utilities electric case. July 22nd, nope, I already did that one. June 28th, 2025 Rohrbach Services Block Party. 2025 fireworks allowable dates, June 28th to July 5th, August 5th, 2025 National Night Out at the Rec Center, and September 6th, 2025 Country Days.
And July the 4th, celebration of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I make a motion, we go home.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.